Lumen Stock Car Invitational is heading to the Rock for its second race of the season over in Rockingham, North Carolina, not too far away from Atlanta, Georgia, staying on the East Coast here. And this track has traditionally been, when it was on the schedule in NASCAR, it was often the second race of the season, and we've kept that tradition here. As for the third year in a row, it is our second race of the season. We had a thriller of a race last week at Atlanta that ended with a last lap pass and Zach Dearman taking the win over JB Cheneau on the high banks. And that was definitely a great start to the season. And hopefully we can get some more of that here today. Joining me in the booth here this week, it's Caleb Rose. And Caleb, last week's race was very entertaining. I know you were here to see it live. Did that race kind of give us any sort of preview for this season, or are we just kind of like still feeling out who we think is good or not?
I think there's definitely still a little bit of ways to go before we really start picking and choosing who the drivers to watch out for this season might be. But if that race was any indicator how the rest of the season go, I better get my popcorn out because this is going to be a fantastic season. That was an absolutely great way to start out the season with a spectacular finish between Dearman and JB Cheneau. And this is definitely going to be an interesting race here today. Going to be a lot different from what we saw at Atlanta. Of course, Rockingham is a very, very treacherous racetrack. It's almost pretty much like Darlington, with the exception of not having the narrow track surface. This track can be really, really hard on tires, so all these guys are definitely going to have to make sure they manage their tires well, and strategy is definitely going to play a huge factor in this one. And of course, also, it's Rockingham. We could potentially see a little chaos in there as well. We'll just have to wait and see how everything goes down, but it's going to be a fun one here today. Can't wait to see how everything goes down.
And last year at Rockingham, we had a very interesting race as well. There were a few cautions, but also some green flag runs as well mixed in there. This is a 99 lap race, so it is actually, in terms of time, it usually turns out to be one of our longer races of the season, which I find very interesting. This track is actually one of the tracks on the schedule that's very good on the longer in the longer races, just seeing how those strategies come out. And also a lot of what we saw last year, we saw a lot of mech failures. Caleb, are you expecting, this race had a lot of mechanical failures, including to some very fast cars last year. Are you expecting more of a race of attrition this week than there was at Atlanta?
I think we definitely can with the bit of a longer race difference that we have here today. And of course, with all that tire degradation, we could potentially see some tire failures and potentially everything else in between with these guys. So yeah, I definitely think we could potentially expect a pretty big of a race of attrition here as all these guys try to manage their tires and on top of that, just try to manage their cars in general.
Another thing we saw at this race last year were the Hondas being very fast, and this year is proving no different, at least in qualifying, because we've got two of them on the front row here. But one of them's not the Honda that you might expect. Cooper Spur has actually won the pole here today. Cooper Spur has had his ups and downs as a single car team owner. Season 2, he was a championship contender. Season 3, he kind of fell to the back of the field, but looking to gain some traction here with an early pole this season, as we're going to take you through your starting lineup. Of course, Cooper Spur, he was the only one in qualifying to post a sub 24 second lap with a 23.975. He's starting alongside Charlie McCarron, who is making her 70th LSCI start. And as we mentioned several times in the Atlanta race, she and Vinny Scholes are the only two drivers that have started every LSCI race and has never won, but McCarron has a really good shot to do it this week. Row number 2, a surprise up here, Kaleo Connie, usually a regular contender on the road courses. He and Lulu are splitting this 42. Kaleo is going to be running more races than usual this year, and this is one of them, and he's starting in row number 2 here. Maybe this 42 car can make some noise. And alongside him, it's the 88 car of Billy Smith. Row number 3, a couple of the Motor Racing Ventures cars. This team struggled a lot last week. One of their cars didn't make the race, Michael Harvin, and the other three, well, we saw James Harvin up there for a little bit, but the other two had no speed whatsoever, and then Harvin eventually fell back with them. But you see two of them In row number 3 here, Adrian Wheeler and James Harvin. And then Jacob Lopez is back in row 4 alongside the 29 of JB Chanot, oh so close to breaking her own winless drought, but came up one lap short. Row number 5, it's the 6 car of Holly Martin. And how about this? Montana Sherman back from injury after the Kentucky race last year. This is one of 7 scheduled starts that he's going to be making in the 4th checkered flag racing car in his retirement tour. This car that he's running, we'll get a look at it later in the race, but this is a very special paint scheme. This car is throwing back to his first full-time season in stock car racing back in 1998 when he ran in the Robestus Motor Series, which is actually another series that you can watch on YouTube. They're in their 1999 season now, so interesting dynamic there with the throwback. But either way, he's going to be starting top 10 in his first race of the season. It's possible that the 57-year-old hasn't skipped a beat after that accident. Row number 6, it's the 77 of JT Boyd and the 39 of Laken Herndon, 2 potential championship contenders, although both of them weren't really all that fast last week, but, you know, it was just the first race. Then we've got Laurie Jackson in the 9. Checkered Flag Racing struggled last week as well. Only one of their cars made the race, and Jackson was not particularly quick, but it looks like they've gotten a little bit faster this week, especially with Sherman starting in the top 10. So we'll see if they can turn it around here. And the 57 of Shauna Everett, who won at Calder Park in the Clash, which is not too dissimilar from this track in terms of length, in terms of in terms of shape and all that stuff. So maybe someone to look out for in this race as well. Shauna Everett. She was also pretty fast here last year before she had a engine failure halfway through the race. Kobe Hollenbeck in the 79, Jack Gino in the 81 had a very eventful qualifying session, ending up going upside down at one point, but he ended up making the race after being in trouble of DNQing for quite a while, since that 81 does not have good owner points from last year. But he made the race. He's starting 16th. We'll see what he can do today. Then we got the 52. This is Kaylee Maxwell, a welcome sight in the field, especially after her impressive, aggressive moves back at Milwaukee last year. She's been one of the fan favorites of the dev drivers that have popped up here every now and again. We'll see what Maxwell can do in her first start of the season. That 52 car had a pretty good run last week with Mercedes Washington, finished in the top 15, and alongside her is the 99 car of Akiya Tajima. Row number 10, we got Damon Kirby, DNQ'd last week, making his first start of the year, and the 55 of Michael Harbin, DNQ'd last week, making his first start of the year. Row number 11, Corbin Taps, and the number 16. We see a lot of actually really fast cars that are starting towards the back here today. George Bryan in 3, who was nowhere to be found at Atlanta, another one. And then 2 Pacific Racing cars. Here is a driver making her LSCI debut. Can I get the name right? Jami McJasmina in the number 32 Snapdragon Toyota. Alongside her is her teammate, the 62 of Vinnie Scholes. Then it's the 27 of Adrian Fersen alongside Kevin DuPont. For the second straight week is starting outside the top 25, so he once again has a lot of ground to make up. The 92 of Kate Summers, who won pole here last year, not quite as quick this time in qualifying. Alongside her is the 66 of Tyler Landry, another potential championship contender, starting out back. Then row 15, it's the 36 of Ashley Blake, who won here in 2023. She's the only one not named Darren Walker to win here. And the 35 of Rebecca Raymond starting alongside her. Row number 16, you've got last week's winner, Zach Dearman. If he wants to go 2 for 2, he's going to have to pass 31 other cars in order to do it. Tim Berry in the 11, also starting out back. The 41 of Karina Willis Calloway, who's pretty good on the short tracks. And the 8 of Darren Walker, who's won here twice already. If he wants to make it 3 of 4, he's going to have to pass almost everyone to do it. And rounding out the field here today is the 65 of Tamarin Bellinger. And your DNQs this week were Joanna Clark in the 58 car, the 70 car of Andrew Kreider, which is a shame because he's shown pace at this track both times that he's ran here, and the 19 of Jake Sidney. And that's a shame because Kreider and Sidney both scored top 10s last week, and now they're going to have to try and make up for the DNQ here this week. It's going to be 99 laps here today. I expect a 2-stop race if it goes green all the way, but this track is known to have quite a few yellows. I think last year we had 5 cautions, but we still got some green flag runs in there. The pit strategy is going to be interesting to watch, but yeah, this is going to be a very different kind of race than Atlanta was, and I'm excited to see what Rockingham has in store for us this year.
Drivers, start your engines.
And the field will roll off the back straightaway here at the Rockingham Speedway. Caleb, who do you think is going to get the victory today?
Well, you've been saying, and it's showing that these Hondas are looking pretty fast. So I'm going to go with the Toyota. Give me the number 29 of JB Cheneau. Potentially break their winless streak here today. They had a really fast car. Atlanta just barely came up short. But they're backing that run up with another good starting position here today at Rockingham. Watch out for that 29 car here today.
She had heartbreak last week, looking for redemption this week. Cooper Spur and Charlie McCarron will lead the field to the green. We are racing here at the Rock. Coming out of turn number 4, looks like Cooper Spur is going to lead the opening lap, and we're not going to have an opening lap crash like we did last year. That's always good to see. Kaleo Connie moving into second. He's trying to hold off the 40 car of Adrian Wheeler. McCarron on that outside lane, slipping back here early. Oh, that's Sherman into the wall back there, but it looks like they're going to save it. The one might have also gotten the wall there in the back. But again, they're going to save it. DuPont's going to slide all the way to the back of the field. And he's going to hit the wall again. He is having trouble with that number 1 car.
Still early on in the race, maybe a bit of cold tires for all of these guys, and this racetrack can be pretty slippery grip-wise. They're in the wall. They're beating on each other back there. Landry ping-pongs off of the 18 of Dearman. And a lot of damage to both sides of that 16. Lopez, all the way on the bottom of the racetrack. Thought he might be coming down pit lane, but I guess not. Had to maybe check up there, but while it's been incident-free so far, it's definitely not been a clean start to this race, per se.
Yeah, we've had
Cooper Spur going out to the lead, and Cleo Connie and Billy Smith, great start for them. They're trying to hunt them down right now.
Yep, lots of cars getting into the wall there off of turn 2. That is a trouble spot if you go 3 wide. That's almost asking for an accident, but somehow they've managed to make it through without sparking a caution. Although quite a few cars are now damaged. The 136-66, some of the cars that we thought would be running a little bit better here today, starting out back, then having problems. Looks like Vinny Scholes, Montana Sherman, who started top 10, all have some dings on the right side. And I would also expect some of them to potentially come in and pit for damage at some point. Battle for second here. Billy Smith to the inside of Kaleo Connie. And he's going to try and take the second position away. And it looks like he will, as Connie will slip back to third. James Harvin, the LSCI Amateur Series champion from last season, up into the top 5. And Caleb, he was driving for your team in the Amateur Series, so I'll give you a chance to talk about him right here.
James Harvin had a really strong showing last year at the Amateur Series. What anyway? But he almost kind of fell apart there at the end, but just barely managed to hang on there for a
We got a caution.
We're under caution.
Vinny Scholes and Jacob Lopez, as well as potentially others. Yep, Akia Tajima. Damon Kirby looks like he was involved as well. And we are under our first caution of the day, and that is going to be terminal damage for both Lopez and probably the 62 of Vinny Scholes. And Lopez,
not a good start to the season at all for our Season 2 champion.
Lopez had a top 10 start, but just, yeah, that's going to be a DNF for him. And this happened to him last year too. He was off to a really rough start as well. So, and it looks like there is smoke pouring out of the 62 as well. So that brand new tide scheme, first race that it's running, it's not going to finish the race. The 65 looks like she came in and pitted, as well as the 15, who is 1 lap down. The 65 might end up getting the free pass. We'll have to check in on that later. But down pit road, the first one off looks like... Still waiting. Everyone's going to be taking 4 tires here. As you'd expect, this track chews up tires. And Spur will be the first one off, and then it will be the 88, the 45, and the 42. Holly Martin might have jumped a bunch of spots in the pits. We'll have to check in on that as it all cycles out. But potentially an amazing stop for the 6 car here. Bellinger will come in and pit here. Well, we at least know who the top 4 will be. And it looks like they're going to score Holly Martin in 5th. So, yeah, excellent pit stop by the McPickey Motorsports number 6 crew. That's going to jump her all the way up into the top 5. But under our first caution of the race here, within the first 10 laps of the race, which is pretty common here at Rockingham, but they should clean it up later in the race, again, like we saw last year. So we're going to show you the replay of what happened, and then we'll get back to the restart here at the Rock. Here's what caused our first caution of not just the race, but also the season. 3 wide coming out of turn number 4. Lopez hits the wall, and the 13 of Damon Kirby just gets swept up into it. Akiya Tajima rans into the 50. Montana Sherman runs into his teammate, and then Vinny Scholes also gets collected in the accident as they all crash down the front stretch. Ooh, big hit from Tyler Landry as well. So it looks like a 6-car accident on the front stretch, and that is going to be day done for at least Jacob Lopez and also Vinny Scholes in the 62. Damon Kirby, Montana Sherman, and Akiya Tajima also sustaining major damage in that. So, that's just 3 wide coming off of a corner, which is a common cause of accidents here at Rockingham. Just not a whole lot that could have happened there. Probably Lopez could have been given some more room from Boyd, but there just isn't room off of the corners to go 3 wide anyway. So, that's just how it goes here at Rockingham sometimes.
Well, everybody was kind of already beating and banging on each other to start this race, and unfortunately here, the rubber band finally snaps as Lopez gets into the wall, back down into the 13 of Damon Kirby, and pretty much sets off this huge chain of events. Vinny Scholes, Tyler Landry, and Akiya Tajima also getting heavy damage in this. Real unfortunate break there for all of these guys, and luckily had a lot of cars behind that just barely missed the accident. So it could have probably been a little bit worse, but still a pretty hard crash here early on in the race, all things considered.
On board here with the 16 of Corbin Taps. Welcome back here at Rockingham. We are about to complete lap number 11 of the race. As you can see, 3 cars are out of the race. It's the 62 of Vinny Scholes, the 50 of Jacob Lopez, and the 99 of Akiya Tajima all out from that accident. We still have 32 cars on track, a couple of cars a lap down. Nobody got the free pass because the driver that was the first car lap down, Montana Sherman, was involved in the accident. And Sherman is going to line up there. So Cooper Spur, Billy Smith, James Harvin. It's a Chevy, or no, Spur's in a Honda now. I'm still getting used to that. Cooper Spur, Billy Smith, and James Harvin will lead the field off, and the 13 is very off the pace, so this might cause some chaos on the restart. Oh my goodness, are they going to save it? They're going to save it.
Nearly gets turned. Goodness gracious.
85 down on the apron.
On the apron.
She's going to save it, though. The 15's going to come back into the pits. That's going to hold up the field. Are they spinning out in front? No, it doesn't look like it. That looks like it's skid marks from the previous accident, but they are all jammed up here in the middle of the pack. Gotta watch this. This could easily be a wreck, especially with Gino going really wide here. But I think they're going to get out of it, at least for now.
Very chaotic restart is... I don't know why everyone's peeling into the pits there, but luckily it looks like everybody is going to keep it straight. A tough break for Montana Sherman having to come back down the pit lane. Maybe some issues there on that 15 after getting into the wall and potentially getting into that accident, but up front, Cooper Spur, Billy Smith, James Harvin got off the line well. They were able to clear that line of lap cars, and they're pretty much bumper to bumper up here trying to fight for this lead as Harvin trying to peek underneath the 88 of Billy Smith, looking to take that second position away. Gonna dive it into turn number 1 there. Didn't really get to finish talking about him. I think I got to the point where he almost lost the championship at the last second after a few tough runs late in the season, but just barely managed to hold on. And now here he is in the Cup Series. Had some solid runs during that season where he ran a few limited Cup starts, and full time now driving the 45 there for Motor Racing Ventures, and had a decent run at Atlanta. He showed some speed, but unfortunately kind of finished towards the back of the pack, but he's really making a name for himself here so far here during this one.
Michael Harvin coming out of the pits might have had to repair some damage. That's James Harvin's older brother, who's a lot more established in the Cup Series than James is, but James trying to make a name for himself here, up to second. 65 car Tamron Bellinger trying to get their lap back, rather. More cars coming out of the pits. Probably got into the wall at some point. Rebecca Raymond, Kate Summers, got to be careful not to merge in front of traffic. But they're going to be able to keep it clean, and we are now down to 25 cars on the lead lap. Quite a few of them have been in and out of the pits. Jack Gino is one of them. Montana Sherman is horrendously slow, so this 15 car could be a problem. Tyler Landry's also off the pace, but everyone else is running up to speed, including the 13. Well, the 13 is also slow, but it doesn't seem like he's as slow as these other guys are. But now Cooper Spur has to deal with the 35 car getting in the way, and he's going to try and get under her here, but Raymond got a decent roll. Spur almost slides up into her, though. This track is pretty slick, especially since it's a clear day out. That's the biggest difference between last year's race and this one. Last year was pretty overcast, which meant there was more grip on the track, but the sun is shining on the track here, and that's going to make it a lot more slippery.
Yeah, we saw almost a big slip up there from Spur, almost getting into the 35 of Raymond, and they're still staying side by side. Raymond's got some pace still in that 35. Just lost all that ground coming down pit lane, but yeah, like you said, a lot of these lap cars are still up to speed, so this could really make things interesting here as Raymond still trying to power it on that outside lane. James Harvin may be thinking about going there with the 35. He's going to try it. He's going to try to go around the outside for the lead. We're side by side coming out of turn number 2. Harvin might get a little bit of a run here down the back straightaway. Speaking a nose ahead of the 24 of Spur.
Oh my goodness.
And rolling the outside lane. He's going to take it a pass around the outside here at Rockingham.
James Harvin to the lead around the outside. That's something you don't see very much here. And he is starting to pull away here. The 24 of Cooper Spur could not get by the lap car. Speaking of lap cars, the 15 of Montana Sherman is going to be caught by the leaders here soon. He's very off the pace, but how about that for James Harvin? You know, that was quite an impressive move from the rookie. He's going to get past the lap car with no issues, but that could be a problem for other cars up on the outside lane. Don't look now, though. Here comes the 88 of Billy Smith. He's run some races on this track before, and he's going to try and get past James Harvin. He's going to poke the nose to the inside, dive bombing into 3 and 4, and he's going to take the lead just a couple laps after Harvin took it, but Harvin's fighting back on the outside.
Rolling now, here comes the 29 of JB Chanot, now up here fighting for the lead. Harvin tried to side draft the 88 there, going into turn number 1, but he had to check up a little bit to avoid running into the 88. Montana Sherman back into the outside wall. A really tough return to the series there for Montana Sherman. But Harvin now stuck up on the outside lane. I don't know if Spur was a lot slower than you guys or what, but he's lost a lot of ground ever since he lost the lead. He's fallen all the way back to 6, now under fire from the 40 of Adrian Wheeler. I don't know what's going on with that 24. Maybe it's one of those situations where he came down the pit lane thinking the car was fine, didn't really make any adjustments while everybody else did, and now the 24 might be struggling a little bit compared to everybody else.
42 Kaleo Kani also slipping back as well. Seems like he's been stuck on the outside, though, which, you know, that's going to happen sometimes on short tracks. The 88 of Billy Smith is still leading, and he's got a couple of lap cars behind him, but these lap cars are actually faster than the leaders because they've got slightly fresher tires. There's James Harvin's brother, Michael Harvin, who might try and unlap himself here. He's actually 2 laps down, so is the 92 Kate Summers. Oh, the 55's getting very aggressive in the corner. You don't want to wreck the leader. That's that would be a little bit much. But Harvin Summers trying to get back in this race by making up some ground. And look who's shown up. It's Billy Smith's teammate, George Bryan, out of nowhere to put both the Patriot Racing cars into the podium positions. How about this for that team? Tyler Landry about to go a lap down here. Oh, be careful. Are we under caution? We're under caution. 39, Lakin Herndon is in the pits. It might have been him.
So, I think.
Looks like they're racing it back. Complete and utter chaos right here, but it looks like... Oh my goodness, Billy Smith in the middle of 3 wide. Did Harvin just get a lap back? It looks like he did. Or maybe he didn't.
There.
I'm not sure. Let's see what scoring says.
Slowing
Landry.
down, so I guess not.
Yeah, I don't think he did, but a little bit of confusion on the grid right here. And looks like they're going to let the 55 go.
Maybe he did. All right.
First car lap down was Damon Kirby, so he will, unless he was in the accident, get his lap back. And looks like the 92 might also get a lap back. Holly Martin somehow made her way up to second in all of that. And George Bryan somehow fell back to fifth. So a lot of shenanigans there. Might have been some sort of accident in turn 1. And these guys were slowing down to make sure they weren't in it. But the only car that I saw with any trouble was the 39. And he's in the pit. So it was possible that he had a... Oh, he blew his engine. Well, I think I know what happened now. I'm pretty sure he blew the motor and stalled on track. And he's now out of the race. There's a header issue on the 39. Looks like these lap cars are all going to come in. Kirby should be the one getting his lap back, though. So... Oh my goodness, Holly Martin got the lead off the pit lane.
Oh.
Billy Smith's now second, with Harvin and Bryan third and fourth. Chanot is now in fifth. Then it's McCarron, Spur, Wheeler, Connie, and Corbin Taps. Looks like is going to round out the top 10.
Picky Motorsports pit crews have come to play.
Absolutely. The 6 and now the 16 have gained plenty of spots in the pits here. How about this? Holly Martin, she's been struggling with this team ever since she got here last year. Maybe this is the race that things turn around for her, but it's still early yet. We're still on lap 31. And we're going to show you what happened to bring out the caution, although I have an idea of what it was. We'll still show you anyway. And then we'll get you back to the restart here very shortly here at Rockingham. Well, here you see Lakin Herndon coming out of turn number 4, and boom, there it goes. Right in front of Corbin Taps again. He really... he's seen both of our first 2 cautions so far, so he's got the best seat in the house, but Lakin Herndon definitely doesn't, and that's a shame for him. Mechanical failures, quite common here at this track, and this is just the first one. I'm sure we'll see more, but tough break for Herndon. He's going to stop here on the inside of turn 1, and I guess that was enough to warrant a caution, possibly due to these cars getting a little bit antsy going into turn 1, but maybe there was some oil laid down over there. But tough break for Lakin Herndon. You know, he's one of the favorites to win the championship this year, and this is not a good start to the season for Herndon, at least here at Rockingham. Welcome back here at Rockingham. We're about to have a restart on lap number 34 of 99. We had a bit of an issue waving Damon Kirby around, so it doesn't look like he's going to get his lap back. I'm sure George Bryan's not going to be too happy about that, but no, there's not much we can do at this stage. That's my fault. I forgot which lap of caution we were on. But pace car is out. One driver that is pretty happy right now is Holly Martin. She is out in front, ahead of Billy Smith and James Harvin. We are green flag racing once again here at Rockingham. And it looks like the 13 did not affect Bryan that much, but he definitely affected the 29 of JB Chanot.
Definitely, Chanot probably not the happiest with that. Gonna try and peek down to the inside. But down the inside goes Connie and Taps. Finally, Chanot is going to clear the 13, but that definitely cost them a lot of spots as Kirby pancakes the outside wall, coming off of 4.
32 also got
a
the
bit of
wall.
a scup back here. Ooh, look out. This could get a bit dicey.
McJasmina
And we're good.
into the wall again. This is not the best track to make your first career start at, but she's hanging in there right now. She's running in 16th. Not that bad a run for Pacific Racing, but meanwhile, let's go back up to the front where Holly Martin is out of here. She's got 3 lap cars between herself and the 45 of James Harvin, who currently sits in second, and then there's another lap car. Oh my goodness! Billy Smith and Rebecca Raymond made contact in turn 3, and there were a lot of accidents in turn 3 in qualifying, so that made me a little nervous, but they're going to sort it out. They're 3 wide. That's all for position right there. Corbin Taps is going to pass both of them in turns 1 and 2. Brian's going to kiss the wall. But that's a 2 for 1 there for Corbin Taps. That'll put him up into the top 5. And he might get another one here because Billy Smith is still having trouble with the 35 of Rebecca Raymond.
Loving what I'm seeing right now.
Corbin Taps going to go from 7th to 4th.
Martin pulling away with the lead. James Harvin in second right now, but surrounded by lapped cars, and Taps is absolutely flying through the field right now. I said under caution that these Motorsports pit crews have come to play, but honestly, I think it's just McPicky Motorsports as a whole that's come to play here today, as both that 6 and that 16 are on rails right now.
Yeah, he's trying to close in on Charlie McCarran for 3rd. Has to deal with the lap car of Tamarin Bellinger as well. But McCarran's also trying to close in on James Harvin for 2nd. Harvin's stuck behind Jack Gino right now. It's a 1.2 second gap between the 6 and the 45. Now it's 1.4 seconds as Harvin is struggling to make it through all the lap cars. Looks like he's going to try and get past the 81 here, but the 85 is going to follow him. Billy Smith finally gets by Rebecca Raymond, but Raymond is not gone yet, still giving him problems. Back in 5th place, Kaleo Connie's climbed up some spots since the restart. He's up to 6th. He fell back to around 10th on that first run, so it's good to see him starting to gain some spots back. Still running inside the top 10.
Corbin Taps right now, potentially all over the back bumper of the 85 of Charlie McCarran. Also got Billy Smith behind the 16 trying to get by the lapped car, and good recovery going on right now for Connie and Cooper Spur as well. Both still running up here inside the top 10. Also got the 52 running up here.
Kaylee Maxwell
so far. Kaylee Maxwell doing really good here so far now up here inside the top 10.
Oh my goodness, Adrian Wheeler got really close to her quarter panel. Cooper Spur's about to lose a ton of spots on the outside, so we got another instance of the announcer jinx there. If you watch the Osco race on Wednesday, you know that this wouldn't be the first time this week for Caleb, but how about this? Kaylee Maxwell.
Yeah, those were good barbecue.
Kaylee Maxwell up in the top 10. This 52 car has actually been impressive. Mercedes Washington had a good run in it last week. Kaylee Maxwell, we know that she's been impressive in her cup starts. We all remember Milwaukee, where she was just an absolute menace out there. Didn't get the results she probably deserved in that race. And here she is running up in the top 10 for this Blake Everett Motorsports number 52 car. We'll see if she can hold on to this good run as the race continues. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all lined up nose to tail. And then it's only 2 lap cars between them and the 6, but the 6 is still gaining on them. Gap is now about 2 seconds back to the 45. Actually, the 45 actually cut in by about 3/10 that last lap, so we'll see if these guys have anything for Holly Martin as the run goes on.
Looks like we might finally be getting a bit of a green flag run here, so I'll repeat the infamous line. The chaos has kind of died down. Maybe we could get a little bit of a breather here.
66-15.
Oh, didn't happen this time.
66, 15, and 13 all off the pace right now, but the leaders have not quite caught them yet. But you do need to keep in mind where those cars are on the track in case they end up holding up Holly Martin, especially if these two start going side by side, because that would be a real roadblock, especially on a track like this. But Holly Martin's doing everything she needs to do right now. You know, Holly Martin, she's been in 64 LSCI races. We talk about Charlie McCarron. We talk about Vinny Scholes, about drivers that have run every race and have not won. Holly Martin has attempted every race. She's DNQ'd a few times, but she's another one of those that has been around since season number 1 and is still waiting for her first career win. Charlie McCarron now up to second, taps in third. Harvin loses a couple positions, but there you see another one. Charlie McCarron running in second right now, so we got a couple of drivers looking for their first career wins. Maybe this is the day.
Maybe this could be the day for Holly Martin. She's got a very fast car, and I'm sure they're definitely very hungry for a win. Same for the 85 of Charlie McCarron. Would be two big stories for either driver if they were to pull it off. But I mean, we're closing in here on halfway home here in this one, so I have to see how the second half of the race will play out. But still got some new faces up here in the top 10. You got the 79 of Kobe Hollenbeck, who's entered the top 10 now, running in 9. How about the one of Kevin DuPont? I'm pretty sure he was last during some point in this race where he kept knocking the wall down in the opening laps of the race. He's now up here in the top 10, so a great recovery here for Kevin DuPont.
These are the kinds of runs that won him the championship last year. Just absolutely struggling at the start, but he managed to get everything that he could out of the car. And now he's running in 10th. Looks like Brian might pass him, though. JT Boyd, another driver that I don't think he started that far up the field. But, you know, that's the second place driver in points from last year. He's up to 11th. Maxwell back to 12th. And how about Mr. Rockingham himself, Darren Walker, currently in 14th position. He started all the way back in 34th. And he is slowly but surely chipping his way through the field. Maybe by the end of it, he can get up towards the front, but he's still got a long ways to go before that happens, as the leaders have caught, or the leader has caught and passed the 66 and the 15, and now these guys behind are going to have to try and deal with it. Gap's back down to about 1.4 seconds, but we'll see if the 66 ends up affecting that at all.
Have to see, as it looks like right now, McCarron kind of just following in behind the 55 of Michael Harvin, which probably isn't a bad strategy, because Harvin and Kate Summers, they definitely are still up to pace in those cars, so definitely probably a good idea to just kind of follow them through and maybe try and use them as picks to close in on the 6 of Holly Martin, as even passing those lap cars that last time by, McCarron did close in about a 10th. So right on their back bumper, and James Harvin still hanging up there as well. Billy Smith not too far behind, but now Billy Smith is going to have to work on the 66 of Landry here.
Kate Summers in the 92 and Michael Harvin in the 55 are both still 2 laps down. And I was gonna say these two are hoping for a yellow, but even if they do get a yellow, they will not be getting their laps back. So it's just, they had to pit for damage under green. So it's just a tough break for them, but it's very clear just by the speed that they've shown that they're capable of running with these guys. It's just they need to catch a lot of good breaks to get back into this. But you know what? I've seen crazier things happen before. I remember back at South Boston, I think Jacob Lopez went 3 laps down and made all of them back up, and then he ended up getting involved in a wreck himself. But it's not over for them, but it's a tall order for them to get back into this. But especially the 92 seems to have pretty good pace, keeping up with the 6 of Holly Martin as she closes in on the 13 of Damon Kirby. And I do want to note, though, well, the 66 is off the pace, but the 35 of Raymond is still up to speed. So Raymond looks like she's going to pass the 66 here. Looks like if a caution were to come out now, she'd be the one getting the free pass and getting back on the lead lap.
Definitely kind of confusing up here towards the front of this field, as we have all of these cars that are 1 to multiple laps down, as maybe a bit of brotherly love there between James and Michael Harvin.
I don't think they made
Might be
contact.
a bit of an awkward discussion there.
I don't think they actually touched, but that was pretty close. Harvin had a pretty big overreaction there, but gotta be careful there. This 85, though, I tell you what, she's getting closer every time I come back and look at her. It's possible that this 92 could give the 6 some problems as well. But Charlie McCarron slowly chipping away at Holly Martin's lead. Lost some time there because she had to deal with the 13 of Damon Kirby, but this 85's looking pretty fast. And you know that she's hungry for a win, just as hungry as Holly Martin is. But now that we've got a green flag run going here, now we got to start to worry about what I believe would be the final set of pit stops here coming up soon. And Caleb, do you think it would be better to pit earlier or later here in this scenario?
Especially if this thing goes green. I think that question is definitely very much up in the air. Of course, if you do pit earlier, you're going to gain all of that time in the short run, but you're going to gradually lose all of that and then some once you gain the long run. If you stay out, you're going to lose a lot of time in the short run, but then gain over time during the long run. So honestly, it's probably going to come down to preference and just how long of a final run we will have that'll really set in stone what the best option will be for all these guys. But it's definitely going to be really interesting to see what all these teams will choose to do once we do get to that final cycle of pit stops, because, yeah, like I said, especially if this thing stays green, that's probably going to be what decides this race.
And something that that often happens in NR is you'll get the first few cars come in during the pit cycle, and then we get a caution, and so that's another risk. That is another risk of undercutting here, pitting earlier. Is getting trapped one or more laps down due to a caution in the middle of the pit cycle. And that is definitely something that is possible in this race, but they're running pretty clean right now, even though we got a few cars puttering around off the pace. But overall, they've kind of strung out here. We've got a battle for second. Corbin Taps is trying to find a way around Charlie McCarron. If they keep racing like that, though, we might get our caution after all. Taps getting into the back of the 85 going into turn 3. Thankfully was smart enough to let off and not wreck her, but the 6. Oh, he's getting into her again.
Easy, Corbin G.
He's getting aggressive. I think he's been behind this 85 for long enough. I think he wants her gone.
He wants by. Maybe that 16 has something for the 6 of Holly Martin. Maybe Corbin's just kind of hanging it in behind 85, trying to save his tires. Who knows? But yeah, got pretty physical there with the 85 of McCarron. McCarron's going to hold on for the time being, but I'll have to see if this 16 can make his way by the 85 and see what kind of lap times he can set compared to the 6 of Holly Martin.
James and Michael Harvin are battling each other right here, even though that's not for position. But Michael's being a thorn in James's side right now. I'm sure James Harvin would just appreciate it if he just let him by. But, you know, these two are pretty competitive with each other, so I wouldn't bet on Michael Harvin just letting him by, even though he is his teammate. But Billy Smith is starting to catch up to him as well. And Kaleo Connie is actually trying to catch up to them, too. And we got a big pack right here from 9th on back. So this is a lot of drivers in this. Oh, boy. They're getting tight here. Rebecca Raymond, slow around the outside. That's going to hurt Kevin DuPont. Zach Dearman, last week's winner. I just want to mention, we didn't really mention Zach Dearman that much in the first. Raymond is sideways. I think we're under yellow.
Sideways.
Nope, we're not under caution. They just had a moment. Look at the tire fall off. 26.883, 27, 26. I gotta imagine that these guys are gonna be pitting any lap now with laps that slow. You can just feel the lack of pace compared to earlier. 26.2 for the race leader. So I anticipate pit stops coming here in the next 5 laps, and that should be the last pit stop of the race. So you gotta make sure that you guys execute on pit road. And what we've seen under caution, the McPicky Motorsports crews definitely look like they're on the ball so far. They're gonna have to do it one more time.
Apparently, if they want to get this race win, they're probably gonna have to pull one of those pit stops one more time, which I guess with what they've been able to do so far this race might not be too big of a problem for them. But we'll just have to wait and see. Taps might have came in. He did. So
Corbin Taps is trying the undercut on his teammate Holly Martin. Martin's going to come in the next lap. McCarron is going to try an overcut along with James Harvin and JB Chanot.
3 different strategies from our top 3. This is getting juicy.
So we've got this first group of cars Zach Dearman, Karina Willis-Callaway, and a few others are also in this group, but Taps is clearly the furthest up of them. They're going to try an undercut here. Tim Berry also trying an undercut as well. Then we've got our second group of cars, including Holly Martin, who is just now leaving her pit box. And now we got a third group of cars coming in now. There's McCarran in the 85, and we'll have to see how they all cycle out relative to each other. Looks like the 16 car is going to jump the 6, at least initially. But Ollie Martin got out pretty close to him. So it's definitely not over for Martin. And now we're going to have to keep an eye on where McCarran cycles out. Doesn't look like it's going to be ahead of these two, though. Oh, she's way back there. Where is she? Oh my goodness, they had a terrible pit stop.
She did not have a good pit stop.
Even James Harvin got out ahead of her. Oh, look out right in front of the Patriot Racing cars. But they're gonna be fine. That was a bad pit stop there for the 85 crew. They're gonna lose a ton of spots. More spots than they would have even if they just had a regular overcut. But look at how far ahead the two McPicky cars are. Oh, goodness gracious. Tyler Landry, that's another teammate. That is going to hurt Holly Martin quite a bit. But Martin does have a one-lap tire advantage, so we'll see if she's able to take advantage of that. And this is kind of what we saw last week. We saw two cars break away from everybody else and fight it amongst themselves. If this stays green, it's looking like we're going to have another one.
Definitely seems like it, and this time it looks like it might be between two teammates. And we got the runner-up and the rookie going at it here up towards the front. Holly Martin still hungry for that first career win. Corbin Taps hungry to prove his worth. And it looks like these two might be the only ones we see battling it out for this race win. And still got around 20-ish laps to go here in this race. So this is definitely going to be interesting. Of course, Holly has that one-lap advantage on the tires. So Corbin's probably going to have to play a lot of defense here if he wants to hold on to this one.
Holly Martin's been faster the last couple laps. No surprise there due to the tire advantage. I think once the tires even out, though, I think the 16's car is a little bit faster when you just compare the raw pace, because we saw what he was able to do throughout the field. If I'm Holly Martin, I got to try and get past the 16 as fast as possible, and so that you can be prepared to play defense when the tires eventually do even out. And Martin looks like she's going to try and make a move in turn 3. She's right to the back bumper of her teammate Corbin Taps, trying to find a way around him here for the lead. They're 8 seconds ahead of third place, so it's just these two unless we get a yellow. Martin working on the 16 of Taps here. She is hungry for that first career win. I don't think she cares if that's a teammate. I think she's going to do whatever it takes to get into first.
I think at this point, I think Holly Martin is desperate to do whatever she can to get that first career win, even if it comes down to even like moving a teammate out of the way. Right on the back bumper of the 16 of Corbin Taps, a lapped car right in front of 32. Not a slow lapped car, still up on pace.
Here she comes.
Holly Martin peaked down low. Here she comes. Here we go.
Martin looking to the inside of Taps. Taps fighting alongside, right in front of them, Gianni McJasmina in the 32. Will she play a factor in this lead battle? Taps trying to roll the outside in 1 and 2. Martin slides the tires through the corner. Will she clear down the back straightaway? It looks like it's possible, but Taps is still up there. She's got it. New leader, Holly Martin, takes it away from Corbin Taps. But was that the last lead change of the race?
We'll have to see if Corbin Taps want to try and stay as close to that 6 as possible. And kind of for these tires to even out a little bit, which it looks like right now Taps is doing a pretty good job of just staying in behind that 6 car. This is definitely shaping up to be an exciting finish to this one. Holly Martin had a great 3 and 4 there, pulling away from the 16 a little bit and drawing into the 32 here, sending it in to the corner, shoving the 32 up the hill. Side by side here, and this could draw Taps in a little bit closer here.
Now,
Have to see here.
As somebody who sometimes partakes in online racing, my worst nightmare is being a lapped car in the middle of the lead battle and ending up causing a wreck. But I don't think Gianni McJasmina in her first career start seems too concerned about that, because she's racing just alongside them. She could end up becoming a pawn for Corbin Taps to end up trying to pass Holly Martin if she can make a move on her. PJ is currently in 20th. That's her nickname, PJ, if you know from Osco. She's in 20th right now, so she's having a pretty good run right now. First car one lap down. You know, if they get a caution, she wants to make sure that she can get her lap back. But right now, she's serving as a barricade between the 6 and the 16, so Corbin Taps is definitely not appreciating the 32 being here. I think if I'm Taps, I gotta find a way to dispose of her.
Yeah, Holly Martin being able to pull away just a little bit. That 6 car is just so good through 3 and 4. Honestly, they're kind of equal, I think, through turns 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, that 6 car really sets sail and pulls away from the cars behind her. In turn 1, though, PJ kind of closed in a little bit to the 6 car. Corbin Taps is dropping off a little bit. He doesn't want to fall too far back, or he might just fall back out of contention, but he's trying his best to stay up there even with the slightly more worn tires. And Holly Martin just hoping that PJ stays in behind, and they're also catching the 13 of Damon Kirby, which could definitely shake things up here, as we know Kirby is a little bit off the pace there in the 13.
Something I want to point out right now, George Bryan, Billy Smith, James Harvin, it is a Chevrolet top 6. And we talked about how good the Hondas were at this track, but it's actually the Chevys taking this race over. And for a moment there, George Bryan looked like he was running faster than the leaders. So I was going to point out, if we got a caution, that they'd be a threat, but it looks like it's kind of evened out now. And Holly Martin is pulling away from Corbin Taps. Taps is just losing the handling on that car as this run goes on. I don't know, that might have been the last move. That might have been the pass for the win right there, but you never know. We could always get a late caution, and that would throw a wrench into everything. We've got this slow lap car. We got 2 slow lap cars coming up. That could mess things up for Holly Martin. Martin has not won this so far, but she's sitting in a pretty good spot right now.
We've seen it many times, and we all know that it's not over until it's over. Holly Martin just hoping that checkered flag flies sooner than later, because we still have plenty of time for stuff to happen. And one of those things that might be happening here soon is that Martin's going to have to deal with this 13 car. Corbin Taps now over a second back. He's probably hoping that Kirby holds up this 6 car a little bit, and that the 16 can just stay within range of that 6 as these tires wear more and more. He actually closed in a little bit that last time by and closed the gap to under a second now. Right, here we go. Holly Martin going to go inside the 13 of Damon Kirby. Montana Sherman not too far up the road, but the more cars that this 6 car passes is more lap cars that the 16 is also going to have to deal with.
Corbin Taps is closing back in on Holly Martin. It's now 0.7 of a second between the 2 teammates. And Martin now has to deal with Montana Sherman going into turn number 3. She's going to get a push there from the 32 going into the corner. So it looks like she's going to get past the 15 with no issues, but it looks like the same cannot be said for Corbin Taps. He is struggling to get past Damon Kirby. That could hurt the 16 tremendously, especially since now the checkered flag racing cars are going side by side in front of him. That could be the break Martin needs to pull away and put an end to this battle here. Kirby still in front of the 16, and Corbin Taps is struggling to get around this car. I don't know about you, but unless we get another late caution here, I think that's curtains on this battle.
Corbin lost 0.5 that last time by trying to fight the 13 of Damon Kirby. Finally going to get underneath the 13, but by this point it might just be too little too late, as Martin continues to pull away up front with PJ and the 32 right behind. But this thing still isn't over, but like you said, I think it's looking pretty good for that 6 of Holly Martin.
7 laps to go here at Rockingham. Holly Martin's come so close so many times to getting that elusive win. The biggest one was the Season 2 Lumen 500, where she led most of the race but finished second to JB Chanot. Can Holly Martin finally break the 63 race winless streak? Or no, it's actually the 64 race winless streak here. Driving for McPicky Motorsports, trying to get that team their first win of the season. The gap is now 1.8 seconds. And almost a clear track in front of her. Just one lap car left to deal with, and she might not even catch him by the end of this. But Holly Martin's looking very good in that Windsor Chevrolet with just 5 laps to go here at Rockingham.
Corbin did close in a little bit that last time by, I think closing in from about 1.8 to 1.6. But at this point, he's going to have to close in a lot more per lap than that. Holly Martin, she has drove an absolutely fantastic race. Great execution on pit lane. Great execution out on the racetrack in general. And it looks like the stars might finally be aligning for Holly Martin. Looks like she might finally break through and get her first career win here.
Where's Taps? Is he in the pits? Oh, he blew up! He blew up from second place! Oh, no. If he stops on the track, that's probably going to end the race, but it looks like he's going to make it back around to the pits. But an incredible run for Corbin. Taps is going to go up in smoke early. And now Holly Martin has a 6.2 second lead. She has no, be careful, don't run into him. Oh, she had to give us one little heart attack, didn't she? She had to. Oh my goodness. 2 laps to go. No challengers behind her. Holly Martin doesn't even have to worry about a caution anymore, because if caution comes out now, the race is going to end. She's going to have 1 lap to go here at Rockingham.
Well, that might have been a bit rocky there, but oh goodness gracious, yeah, definitely gave us a bit of a heart attack there. But in the end, Holly Martin, now with George Bryan is closing really, really quickly, but he's still 5 seconds back. It looks like this is finally going to be the day for Holly Martin and McPicky Motorsports.
Turn number 4 is now in her rearview mirror, and the checkered flag is going to come out for Holly Martin for the first time. And after 64 attempts, she's finally got her first Lumen Stock Car Invitational win. How about that? Great day for Patriot Racing. They're going to finish 2nd and 3rd. James Harbin gets, I believe, his first career top 5 in the Cup Series. Charlie McCarron gets a top 5. Tim Berry, who we did not mention all race long, goes from 31st to 6th today. Zach Dearman, JB Chanot. Dearman beats Chanot again, but this time for 7th. JT Boyd and Kaleo Connie round out the top 10 here today. What a drive by Holly Martin to win this race. That 6 was fast the whole way, both on the track and in the pit lane. You just got to respect drives like that, and you got to feel happy for Holly Martin after what happened to her last year and all the struggles she went through moving to the new race team. Greasy McPicky said that he was sticking by Holly Martin for this year. He knew that she was struggling, but he believed in her, and it paid off, and Holly Martin is going to be going to victory lane here at Rockingham.
Looks like it is going to pay off greatly for both parties involved. What a race here from Rockingham, and what a win for Holly Martin. What a way to earn your first career win. She absolutely put her foot to the floor with that one. Absolutely earned that one, and unfortunate there for the 16 of Corbin Taps, who had a great run go up in smoke there late. Could have been a 1-2 for McPicky Motorsports, just unfortunately was not the case. But still, all around a great race here today from Rockingham. And yeah, just what a win for the 6 of Holly Martin. And hey, we had Dearman and Chanot, our top 2 from Atlanta and our top 2 in points still finish up here in the top 10. So who knows? Maybe race 1 wasn't just a little bit of luck mixed in. Maybe Dearman and Chanot, maybe the real deal here this season. We'll just have to wait and see how the next couple races go.
Tim Berry, Charlie McCarron, Corbin Taps, even though he blew up at the end, also drivers that were pretty fast at Atlanta, carrying that speed over to Rockingham. Those are definitely some drivers to watch. Hollenbeck as well, even though he also didn't finish top 10, but he still got a decent run out of it. Again, drivers to watch for the championship. They were fast in both races here at two completely different track types. It looks like Taps was not the only one that had an issue late in the race. Adrian Fersen retired with a tire failure that did not bring out a yellow, but that's a tough break for her in the NH Motorsports car. But 18 cars finishing on the lead lap here today. Ashley Blake, the last of those. But good runs for a lot of these guys up here. James Harvin, career best finish for him. Patriot Racing gets second and third, just one spot short of a 1-2. Although that 6 seconds is a pretty big gap, but they still had a great race today, especially since they didn't have the greatest of races back in Atlanta. Kaleo Connie getting a top 10. You always love to see that when Kaleo Connie is in the race, and he was top 10 all race long, so that 42 was very fast. Good day for Connie Twins Motorsports as a whole, because Karina Willis-Callaway also finished in the top dozen, so that team's been struggling lately. It's great to see both of them in the top 12. Kaylee Maxwell finishing in 13, so that's the second straight top 15 finish for this 52 car. So Blake Everett Motorsports looks like they probably improved from last year, at least out the gate, even though Blake and Everett weren't really factors here today. Maxwell definitely had a great run today. 29 cars finished the race. Montana Sherman finishing 30th, 7 laps down in his return race. Definitely not how he wanted it to go, but it still went better than a few drivers, as we see a few. These bottom 3 all retired due to an accident. Everybody else was a mechanical failure. And we mentioned at the start of the show, mechanical failures could potentially be catastrophic here. And we definitely saw that happen to Corbin Taps and also Laken Herndon as well. But Caleb, what did you think of this race? And next week we're going to be at Homestead Miami Speedway, so maybe you could give us a bit of a preview for how that race is going to go.
Definitely a very great race here from Rockingham. Saw a lot of action, a lot of great racing, and a lot of great strategy out on the racetrack as well. Definitely love to see some really good strategy races. This race absolutely no different. And then, next race going to Homestead. That's going to be a really, really fun one. Homestead is a lot of fun. It has some awesome racing. Can't wait to see how that race goes. But still, what a race here from Rockingham. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Homestead had a lot of drama last year, mainly due to the championship battle. That was the race that ended the championship battle due to Tim Berry getting swept up in an accident, Kevin DuPont having a good run. That locked him up the title. But this year, it's not a late season race, it's an early season race, but that doesn't mean that there won't be any drama. We're going to be bringing back the Vice City colors on that one that we debuted last year. So that's going to be a fun environment to be at with the pink and blue walls. That's always fun. We love it when the tracks look unique like that. But that's going to be an exciting race for sure. This was a pretty exciting race, although the results don't show it, but there was a lot of action throughout this race. I am surprised that we only got one caution due to an accident today, which is definitely great news. I was a bit worried that we were going to get a lot of wrecks in this race, but we didn't, so that's good news for sure. But yeah, they kept it mostly clean here today. We saw a lot of cars bounce off the wall, but that's just Rockingham. It's kind of like Darlington in that aspect. Caleb, you mentioned that at the start of the race. That's another comparison between the two. But overall, solidly clean race and good battle at the end until unfortunately the engine let go on the 16 car. But what a win for Holly Martin and McPicky Motorsports. You got to feel for her. Just with all the struggle she's been in, from coming really close to winning multiple times to just the absolute nightmare that last season was. It's great to see Holly Martin come out of that and finally get her first career win here today. So congratulations to Holly Martin and McPicky Motorsports. And that's going to be it for today's broadcast. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, next week we'll be at the Homestead Miami Speedway, 1.5 mile oval. Very different to Atlanta, though, so it's going to be really interesting to watch. On behalf of Caleb Rose, this is Brennan Wilmington from the Left Turn Network signing out. Here are your points after race number 2 of the LSCI.